Lee Weiner, Oceanside Wellness, and the good lasers. Now it's time to talk about the bad lasers. Headline in Newsday on Friday, Danger in the Skies, about laser beams pointing at 4 jets over Long Island. This has been a huge problem, and who better to talk about this problem with lasers and jets than our aviation expert, Rich Kaplan. Give it up for Rich Kaplan.
Yeah.
And he will discuss bad lasers.
Thank you, Howie. First of all, good evening. This is a very hotbed issue that I believe has the potential to become catastrophic. The lasers that we are talking about aren't so much the red ones that we have in our houses or we use to play with our cats and dogs, but the green laser. The green laser is extremely bright. To give an idea of how bright this laser is, when we were kids, I'm sure some of us stared at the sun. If you were to stare into this ambient light for more than a period of 5 minutes, it can literally burn out your eyes. It will cause severe spatial disorientation, meaning you will not know where you are. When you blink, you will feel like you're in a discotheque. You'll see like hues, halos, that sort of thing. Now, to an airline pilot, this is dangerous. As I discussed a while back, when you are in the cockpit, you are responsible not just for the aircraft, but for the passengers on board. I want to take you into the cockpit of a Emirates A380, which is the biggest jet that currently comes into JFK. It is 4 engines, it is huge, and it carries a lot of fuel. These incidents happened on takeoff, the ascent. From the moment the aircraft leaves the ground, we're going to talk about the Bethpage area. I happen to live in Massapequa Park. When they reach this point, they're at about 8,500 feet getting instructions to go to cruise, which is 15,000 feet. Then, ultimately, your goal is to reach 36,000 feet. You're flying this aircraft. You are focused entirely on getting the aircraft to its destination, reaching that instructed point. If you deviate from that point for any reason, a number of things can happen. The first thing that happens is right away the Air Force is alerted that there is a problem with the aircraft. They will scramble F-15s usually out of Massachusetts, Air National Guard. In the case recently of 2 jets, I believe it was a Saudi aircraft and possibly an American aircraft. But the fact is, this problem is far more serious than any of us could ever realize, especially for people who live in the Island Park, Long Beach area. You happen to sit on the main approach pattern for runway 31 left. In the morning, Kennedy controllers love this runway because it's 13,500 feet, more than enough to accommodate the Emirates A380. Now try to picture you're driving on your way to work and there's a bunch of kids playing, say, by the water tower. One of them happens to fire a laser into the cockpit of this jet. I'm the pilot of this airplane. I have a co-pilot. But the fact is, if I let go of the yoke, my co-pilot immediately has to jump, has to take over the aircraft, reposition it, and get it on the ground. Can he do it? Yes, it is possible. But what if we're both blinded? Who then takes over? On the newer planes, there is a 2-man crew. There is no third pilot. Meaning, if both pilots are blinded, the plane's going to crash. And if the plane crashes, even on final approach, you are talking about 650 passengers on a wide-body 4-engine Super Jumbo with the potential to wipe out half of Long Beach with the jet fuel alone. Jet fuel burns at such a hot rate, it'll melt metal like it is nothing. The reason why I bring this up is as residents and as people, ordinary people like myself, we need to push our congressmen and get law enforcement whatever tools they need to track these lasers and arrest these people before we have a catastrophic incident over our beloved city. It's not a question of when it will happen. It's not a question of whether or not it will happen. It is a question of when it will happen. These incidents are becoming more prolific.
Just to highlight that, Rich, in Newsday they pointed out U.S. incidents of laser aimed at aircraft. In 2006, the number was 384. By 2010, it was 2,836. And by last year, 2014, 3,894 lasers were aimed at aircraft. So the problem is getting much more severe and much more dangerous. And Rich, we thank you for pointing out the dangers, and let's hope the congressman really put the pressure on to put an end to this.
Absolutely, Howie.
All right, thanks to Rich and thanks to Lee Weiner for 2 great opening segments. And after this, we got Christine Filardi, Rocco, and Ed Glista coming up. So keep it locked right here. I am Halftime Howie. This is Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie, coming to you live from Pancho's Cantina in Island Park, on Long Island's first and oldest radio station, AM 1240, WGBB.